Hi, Gerard. This is Pedro from Cartagena, Spain. How are you?
Hey, Pedro, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's so nice to meet you. And I have to say, congratulations on the film. It was amazing seeing you giving your all to this character. It was great. I talked to Dean a few months ago in London, and he couldn't stop saying wonderful things about you and your
Oh,
work. Specifically, he told me that you were sort of like this Viking cheerleader on set, raising the spirits and screaming and the energy while filming. Did the spirit of Stoic possess you in real life?
I think so. I think that I knew that I had to bring it, and I was the only cast member remaining. So Dean and I were definitely the custodians of the franchise. So I felt a responsibility. One, also because I love this movie and I love that character, but it wasn't just what am I putting into Stoic, but what energy am I bringing to set, to the crew, to the other actors, to all the background, Vikings. So I took that as an extra responsibility and tried to. It was almost like the scene from X-Men when you take the glasses off, kind of like let's let's bring that energy up, and it felt like very effective. Yeah,
Yeah, you can feel it when you watch the film.
thank you.
As you said, you were the only actor from the original voice cast that reprised his role for this one. What was it like playing the same character but immersed in this world that was brought to life at this scale, on these locations and everything?
I took it as a view of feeling very lucky to have the opportunity to have an incredible costume, to step on to these sets, to properly step foot in the world of Burke and be fighting dragons and living amongst Vikings. So it allowed me to inhabit that for 12, 14 hours a day. And therefore, you don't have to overthink and overdo moments with Stoic because you are Stoic. You've kind of metamorphosized into him. I don't know if that's a word, but it was felt great to not only be this kind of disembodied voice from being in the studio from the movies, but to really climb into this world and therefore give way more nuance in the father-son story, even in how he deals with the responsibilities and of trying to get the tribe behind him. You could say that with many more colors and many more ideas than you ever could when you were doing the animated version. So yeah.
You mentioned the father-son relationship, which is like the core of the film. This version emphasizes, I think, the themes of generational breach and masculinity and tradition through this beautiful and complex father-son dynamic. As in the original, I think Hiccup opens Stoic scope of what a man or a Viking must be. So what do you think this film says about, generations and masculinity?
Well, I think it's exaggerated to a point of sometimes the rigidity of being stuck in a certain culture and way of thinking where pride does not help us, and the attachment to the past, not being able to see often another other ways of thinking, or understand that maybe the younger generation have something different to offer, and they're just not us. And I think that's a very powerful element to watch. Not just somebody say not somebody say I love you in spite of our differences, but to then say I love you because of our differences. And I think that's very powerful, especially, and that's why I say maybe exaggerated for effect. But when it comes from somebody whose whole identity is based on the fabrics of this foundation of discipline and ancestry and power and strength and masculinity, to say, okay, maybe my way isn't the way, and that's going to take a lot of work for me to re-identify and kind of live in a world where I just, not just me, but all the previous generations did not think that way.
Yeah, that's a nice message. Finally, if they do a sequel and they ask you to be in it, will you try to convince them to change Stoic's fate?
No. I produce movies as well and get very involved in the story, but I'm not producing this one, and I trust Dean DeBlois 1,000 times more than I would trust myself and where to take this story, because It's rare when I watch characters in a story and see, because I do what I do, to see the skill and creativity and heart and talent that's gone into making these stories in every way, from the characterization to the writing to the humor, and then the world building that's happened. It's my hat goes off and I bow down to the great Dean DeBlois.
Well, I have to wrap it up. It was great talking to you and meeting you, Gerard. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you, man.
Thank you.